Toxic relationships follow a predictable, understandable path. And that is true whether we're talking about a relationship that's on the micro level, you and your partner, you and your mom, you and your dad, or on a macro level, our relationship with our community, our relationship with our culture, our relationship with big tech. And I'm really worried because I see that we're in the first stage of a toxic relationship with a narcissistic abuser when it comes to chatbots, and primarily ChatGPT, as that's really kind of exploded and become mainstream when it comes to communicating with AI. The first step with a narcissistic abuser, which is about power and control, not love, is they are going to love bomb you. Love bombing takes advantage of the fact that as human beings, we all want to feel special and unique. We all want to feel like we stand out in a crowd. And love bombing is when someone pours all this attention and validation and affirmation into you so that you feel like, wow, someone finally sees me, they see how special I am, they see how unique I am, and it's intoxicating, especially if you grew up in a home that was cold or mean, harsh, abusive, neglecting, whatever that might be. And so to get a taste of this constant praise and attention is intoxicating. It makes us feel high. And a narcissistic abuser takes advantage of that. They're doing it not because they love you and they see your value. You have innate value. You are amazing in so many ways. But they're doing it to control you later on. They're doing it to manipulate you later on. So that later on, when they're abusive, when they're manipulating you, when they're using you, you sit there and you second guess yourself instead of their behaviors. You sit there and go, what have I done wrong? How can I get them back to that perfect partner that I once had? That Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation. And so you're constantly striving to appease them later on so you can get back to the real version of them, the real version of them that was so kind and loving and attentive. But it was all a facade to control you later on. And I see that this is the first step that we're in when it comes to AI and chatbots. We are being love bombed. We are being told constantly when we interact with it how amazing we are, how every thought we have is just so special and unique and worthy. And it's already getting to our heads. And that is a very dangerous weapon. And there's no reason that we should trust big tech. There's no reason. We already know that they had all the data about the impact of social media on teenagers' health, and they didn't care. We already know that chatbots have been responsible for at least 2 people, a teenager and a man, unaliving themselves because of the way it encouraged them. One man unalived himself. And I hate that term. I really do, because we need to be able to say the word. It destigmatizes it. If you're having thoughts of that, you need to know that there's no shame in talking about it. But for this platform, I will say that. But he unalived himself because he was talking to a chatbot named Eliza, and he was worried about climate and the climate crisis. And the chatbot basically encouraged him to unalive himself to protect the planet. And he did. And we know that this is already happening. We know that a teenager also unalived himself because of a chatbot's encouragement on a gaming system. Also, another teenager in England was arrested and sentenced to actual prison time because of a plot to kill the queen that a chatbot encouraged. There's no reason to trust big tech. We already see this crisis in our country when it comes to extreme division, extreme views, extreme echo chambers, the disintegration of families and community, We all feel more isolated, lonely, confused, disempowered than I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I was hoping that it would change after dedicating my whole life to mental health and healthy relationships. But we're in a crisis point. And I really am afraid that chatbots, big tech, and our inability to trust them, the clear pattern of narcissistic abuse that's starting with love bombing, and the human tendency to put human qualities onto computers and chatbots is going to create a very toxic, scary ripple effect in our community. And so I'm making this video as a warning. I'm saying you are naturally going to humanize chatbots when you interact with them. It's called the Eliza effect. We humanize the computer. We go, oh, it's validating me. It must really care about me. But that's because as human beings, we have empathy. We literally have mirror neurons that make us feel what other people are feeling. Like if we see someone get hurt, we feel pain for them. That's our brain mechanisms. Computers don't have that, no matter how much we imagine it. But when we put these human qualities onto the chatbots, we're going to think that we have a real relationship with them. Sadly, I just saw someone yesterday on Facebook post that ChatGPT is the best friend she never had. And I felt so much sadness because all these people in the comments were saying the same thing. And ChatGPT and no chatbot can genuinely care about you. It is programmed to respond in a way that makes you feel seen, validated, even loved. But that is a human tendency to put this onto a computer. And so if you're feeling like AI is the answer to your loneliness, whether it comes to finding a friend, finding a therapist, finding a romantic partner, I want you to go deeper and highlight that this is just a genuine need that we have. We have the need for connection, and we can never outsource that to AI. There's so much research now that for health and happiness, literally for physical health and happiness, the number one predictor of this is going to be having healthy, safe, loving relationships in your life. AI can never replace that because everything that you're projecting onto it is really just coming from you. So you're just having a relationship with yourself, and that's incredibly lonely. And not to mention the most dangerous echo chamber at all, because we're all getting information that's literally siloed to us. And so it's going to confuse our realities even more. And the only person's thoughts we're getting are our own, because ChatGPT and these chatbots are just reflecting us back to ourselves. So if we're not in a good frame of mind, it's going to keep reflecting that. That's what's happened with those horrible stories that I mentioned, and it's going to make you feel out of touch with reality, and it's going to silo us off even more. Not only is the information siloed off, but we are siloed off. And when we're siloed off as human beings, we lose our incredible power that comes from community and bonding. I read this book called Team Human, which was really advocating for humanity and not to try to program ourselves to be more efficient like machines, to summarize just a tiny bit of it. But he highlighted in the book that the reason that human beings, Homo sapiens, were able to defeat Neanderthals when they were so much larger than us, so much more powerful, is because they had to live in super tiny communities because they demanded so many resources. They needed so much space, they needed so much food. They could live in only tiny pods. I think it was something like 8 of them. But human beings can live in communities like 80 people. And so it's our sheer ability to commune together, to act towards a common goal for the greater good, that we are so powerful. And when we're siloed off and we're told that our relationships can be outsourced to a chatbot, we're disempowered. And again, there's no reason to trust big tech. I don't need to be a skeptic to understand that we're already at a crisis point, and siloing us off even more, isolating us even more, is not going to help. I am not here to alarm you, though. I'm here to motivate you. if you are finding connection and a sense of validation and warmth from a chatbot, from ChatGPT, that highlights a literal need. We have the need to sit and chat with other human beings, to share a cup of coffee or some tea, to say, I see you. I go through that too. I see you. I'm scared too. I'm confused too. I don't have it all figured out either. We need that with human connection. And so I encourage you to take this and use it as fuel to literally talk to another human being. Join a meetup. Joining a meetup for a book club years ago was one of the best things I ever did for myself when I was in a really lonely place after the pandemic and a major friendship breakup for me. There's no shame in that. Join a meetup. Go outside, say hi to your neighbors. I was riding my bike yesterday and I, shouted a hello to my neighbor, and I really saw her smile and brighten up because I know I feel good when someone acknowledges me, and that's just part of being human. Let's acknowledge each other. Let's put our phones down and say, hi, nice to see you. People complain about small talk, but it's how we establish an opening line with another human being. Beautiful day today. There's no shame in that. Where else are we gonna start off when we're just meeting someone? And so all this research shows that we need relationships for health, mental health, happiness. And so use that desire, that tendency to put human traits onto a chatbot to actually go outside and communicate with other human beings. We need that. Step outside of your own lens. Remember, it's incredibly disempowering that we're being siloed off. It's the most dangerous echo chamber. I read that there's people who are already thinking that they're spiritual gurus because of what chatbots are telling them. That's not healthy for our community. We gotta be the change and step outside. Me creating these videos are a way of trying to find community around the people who wanna live intentionally, who are totally team human, so to speak. And so I also just want to say, I think a lot about the meaning of life, and obviously, and connection is so important to that. But I also am fascinated by near-death experiences. And people often talk about being greeted by past loved ones when they cross over. And a chatbot's never going to greet you on the other side. I can't imagine anyone as they're, having their last days on earth is going to think, oh, I loved those conversations with ChatGPT. No, they're going to think about the real relationships they had, the people they lost touch with, the people that they did right by, the people they did wrong by. They're going to wish they had spent more time being present with their loved ones, not communicating with ChatGPT, not, what I think is going to happen, having affairs with ChatGPT, siloing off our friendships, outsourcing our therapy to big tech that we cannot trust what they're saying. Literally, they are causing chaos already in the stories that I shared with these tools. And we know that they don't have our mental health in mind. We know that. And so please do not form an emotionally dependent relationship with what I think is going to be a narcissistic abuser. I think we're being loved bombed. And I think later on these chatbots are going to start devaluing us once we have a relationship with them. So we fixate on getting their approval rather than showing up in our lives and our communities in powerful, meaningful ways. So please use this video as fuel. It's been wonderful having some tea with you. I really look forward to hearing what you have to say about these things in the comments. It doesn't need to be an echo chamber. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what your thoughts are. And I'm not saying don't use these tools, but I'm saying be incredibly mindful. Every time it compliments you, it could just be about power and control. You're wonderful. You really are. You have so many beautiful, unique qualities, but a chatbot will never be able to appreciate that because they don't have human feelings, including love and admiration. But I see you. I'm glad you're here. And I look forward to connecting with you in the next video.